What are the 10 most commonly missed airspace questions on the FAA written exam? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you all 10 of those, and then I'm going to go over each one of them so you don't miss these questions when you go to take your test. All right, guys, so once again, if you're wondering where I got all this data from, this is actually from my premium private pilot ground course. I took the 10 most commonly missed airspace questions and then I condensed them into a quiz of the day, and then I threw it up on a YouTube post, and then looks like 267 people took this quiz of the 10 hardest questions on airspace, and now looks like the average score here is a 43%. So some of you guys did better, some of you did worse. But once again, these questions are eating you guys' lunch. So let's take a look and see what the questions are and why you guys are missing these. Because airspace is kind of tricky, but this is not only important for the written exam, but it's also going to be important on the check ride as well, because these are going to come back to haunt you. And a lot of these questions you can expect the examiner to ask you. So don't think you're done with these once you take the written exam. These are probably going to come back on the oral exam as well, and even during the check ride portion too. All right, so this first question here, it says, what is the minimum equipment required to operate underneath the Class Charlie shelf, not in the airspace, under visual flight rules? So as you can see, 106 of you guys, 40% of you guys got this right. You don't actually need anything operating underneath the Class C shelf. Now, this is a little bit of a trick question because you do need some equipment if you're going to be actually operating in the Class C airspace. And I think that's where this confusion came from. If you were going to be operating in the airspace itself, you would need a two-way radio. You would need a transponder responding to 4096 interrogations, and then you also need that Mode C or automatic altitude reporting equipment, and also the ADS-B out equipment. But once again, we're not in the airspace, we're beneath the shelf, so nothing's actually required under there. So just keep that in mind. Class B airspace, I'm not sure if this is a commonly missed question, but if you're operating under the shelf of Class B, then there are some requirements there. You're inside the Mode C veil, so in that case, you do need ADS-B and you also need Mode C. All right, so hopefully that helps you guys. Who should a pilot contact in order to enter Class Charlie airspace? 36% of you guys said the tower controller responsible for the primary airport inside the Class Charlie airspace. The correct answer is the approach facility who owns the Class Charlie airspace above the airport. Now, if you were going into Class Delta airspace, then the tower controller is going to be correct. But the people who own the airspace above a Class Charlie airspace is the approach facility. So, like, if I was going into Little Rock Approach would own that airspace out there. So you would have to get two-way radio comms with Little Rock Approach. If you contacted Tower and told them you're inbound for the airspace, they'd probably say, why don't you check in with Approach first, and then they'll pass you off to us, because the Approach facility owns that radar, and they're really the ones that are like sequencing people to the runway and stuff. So big airports like Class Charlie, Class Bravo, they have radar, and those approach facilities or TRACON facilities are sequencing people in there. A Class Delta airspace, they don't necessarily have radar. They're going to have other assets like TISB and ADS-B, but they may not necessarily have radar facilities. So in that case, then you would have to talk to the tower and tell them where you are. But this is a Class Charlie, so that's why that is the way it is. All right, how wide does a federal airway extend to each side of centerline? And the correct answer here is 4 nautical miles. This is just one you're going to have to remember, guys. This isn't really a trick question or anything. So it's 4 nautical miles to each side of centerline. So it's a total of 8 nautical miles wide. So that's all that on that one there. All right, next question. According to Figure 25, Section 4, what is the top of the Class Delta airspace above Fort Worth Alliance Airport? KAFW. All right, let me pull out my figure here. We're looking at Figure 25, Section 4. So we're looking at this little airport right here, this little Class Delta airport, Fort Worth Alliance. And this is Class Delta. And so here's the altitude right here, and you see a negative 3,000. And all that negative sign right there means is that the Class Delta does not go all the way up to 3,000 feet. So the Class Bravo over here is 3,000 feet. So it goes right up to the bottom of the Class Bravo. So technically the most correct answer would be 2,999 feet MSL. 3,000 feet AGL and 2,999 feet AGL are incorrect. these altitudes for airspace are always in MSL, so you can look at your altimeter and tell that you're at the right altitude. And so you can be sure whether or not you're in that airspace or not. So that's the answer on that one. Okay, next question. What should a pilot remember when flying over a NOAA marine area? Okay, so this is a little bit of a trick question. The correct answer is pilots are required to fly no lower than 2,000 feet AGL. Now, a lot of you guys said pilots are requested to fly no lower than 2,000 feet AGL. I think where you got mixed up here is for wildlife areas and basically every other wildlife type area besides the NOAA marine area. Those are the ones where pilots are requested to fly no lower than 2,000 feet AGL. But for the NOAA marine areas specifically, you are required to fly no lower than 2,000 feet AGL. So, and I think the people who guessed 1,000, that's probably they probably just forgot. But yeah, for the NOAA marine areas, those are the ones where you cannot go below 2,000 feet AGL. All right, next up, when would a pilot be allowed to fly within 60 nautical miles of the Washington, D.C. VOR under visual flight rules? So the correct answer is the pilot must complete the special awareness training and must remain clear of the SFRA. A bunch of you guys thought you needed to open up a flight plan prior to flight. You don't necessarily have to do that, but you definitely have to take the special training. And you cannot go into that inner ring where, like, the White House and the Pentagon and all those places are. So that keeps you out of by staying out of that SFRA. So those are the two main things. Get the special training and stay out of the SFRA. Let's see here. Next question. Prior to a flight, you discover that you will be operating near the restricted area west of Area 6 and Figure 75. Where would you look for more information regarding the restricted area R2305? So first things first, you don't really need this figure here, but I'll pull it up just so you guys can see what it's talking about here. So it's talking about this restricted airspace right here, 2305. Where would you find more information regarding this restricted area? Where you'd find that is in the VFR sectional in the special use airspace block. So the chart supplement doesn't really have that information. I think some of you guys might have thought it did, but sometimes you'll get information regarding airdrops, and sometimes airdrops are associated with restricted areas for the military. That's a little bonus for you, but you really don't need to know that information. But yeah, the correct answer is on the VFR sectional in the special use airspace block. All right, next question. What are the dangers associated with flying in the Devil's Lake, East MOA, and Figure 26, Area 2? All right, so the correct answer is military training operations, including extensive aerobatic maneuvers and high G maneuvering. And then looks like a bunch of you guys said high volume of military flight training or large amount of unusual aerial operations. I can see why you might have thought that because there is some of that there, but the most correct answer is military training operations and aerobatic maneuvers. This one where it says high volume of military flight training, that would be like an alert area. But as far as what happens in these MOAs is it depends on what units are operating there. But like for pilot training for the Air Force, we would go out there and do loops and barrel rolls and aileron rolls and like formation maneuvers and that sort of thing. And so the key takeaway for like a MOA and stuff is those guys are not paying any attention to like VFR traffic going through there. Can you fly through there as a VFR pilot without contacting anyone? Yeah, absolutely. But like if I'm going to be flying near a MOA, then I'm going to be really keeping my head on a swivel because I don't know what to expect when going in one of those areas. I'll try to avoid them if possible, but it's not required under VFR operations. Let's take a look at Figure 26. This question references Figure 26, Area 2, and it's talking about the Devil's Lake, East MOA. You don't really need to look at the figure to answer this question. There's a lot of FAA questions that are written this way for your situational awareness, so you can look and see, okay, well, this is the MOA it's talking about. But as far as like needing this figure, you really don't. I think they try to make more out of things than they need to sometimes, but that's just to like trick you up or something. But the correct answer is military training operations, including extensive aerobatic maneuvers and high G maneuvering. All right, next question here. What determines the lateral dimensions of Class Delta airspace? All right, so this is a little bit of a trick question because 9 times out of 10, um, Class Delta airspace has a 5-mile ring from the center of the airport. but that's not what they base the airspace on. Some of you guys, 41% of you guys said they're designed to be 5 statute miles. That's not true. They sometimes it can be 5 miles, sometimes it can be 6, sometimes it can be 4. The correct answer is that they're designed based on the instrument approach procedures for that airport. Now, I know you guys are VFR pilots and you don't really have a good understanding of what instrument approach procedures are, but what those are is that they have nav aids that bring pilots in on a good glide slope like this. And so what you'll find sometimes, let me bring up a airport right here that I can show you guys. Yeah, this one will work. Fort Lawton, Fort Sill. So what you'll notice here is that this one looks like it's closer to 4.4 nautical miles, but then take a look at this. You got this circle out here, and then you got this little earlobe jutting off to the south here. So the reason for this is because pilots are flying like an approach straight in here. It's probably based on this VOR DME right here, but that airspace is built around those instrument approaches, so those pilots are protected when they fly straight in there, and that's why that is the way it is, and that's why sometimes you have weird shaped airspace for Class Delta or even Class Charlie or Bravo, but it's based on approach procedures, not 5 statute miles. That's a trick question, but hopefully that'll help you guys understand that. All right, last question. According to the VFR sectional, see Figure 25, Area 4, at what altitude does the base of the Class Bravo airspace start directly above Fort Worth Alliance Airport, AFW? All right, let's pull up our VFR sectional here. Let's see here. Figure 25, Area 4, so right in here. And this is AFW again right here. The correct answer is 3,000 feet. So that's based on this shelf right here. And then some of you guys said 4,000 feet, which would have been this shelf out here. So I can see why you guys got this wrong. This is probably a question that I need to fix right here. Because, okay, yeah, because see this shelf right here? The majority of the airport is in this 4,000-foot area out here. So I'll probably change this one and make the correct answer 4,000. I got this question from somewhere else and I basically just reworded it. I really appreciate that you guys let me know that there's an error on my quiz. But once again, I'm a human being. I'm going to make mistakes. So if you guys see errors on my quizzes or on my tests, please let me know and I'll get those fixed. But I hope going over these other questions really helped you guys out. And if it did, please let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see more content like this. I think it's helping you guys. So please let me know and be sure to smash like if you enjoyed this video. And don't forget guys, if you need an endorsement for that FAA written exam, be sure to check out my premium course at freepilottraining.net. It's a fraction of the cost of the other ground courses out there, and you'll get access to all my quizzes, all my tests, and all the great free pilot training videos. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see ya.